Things My Mama Taught Me by Katrina Gonzalez. My mama, creator of snow ice cream, collector of bread scraps for the ducks, admirer of all things ordinary in an extraordinary way, taught me most of what I know about life. Born the fifth and last child during the Great Depression on October 22, 1931, she was a product of those days. Her father, my daddo, was a skilled rock mason with a third-grade education. For the often tight budget, Mama's mother, my Granny Bear, took in laundry and sewed for the public, as she would often explain. My mama often talked of days spent as a family in the fields picking cotton, a back-breaking job around Snyder, Texas. I can remember Mama bragging about how fast her daddy picked the cotton and how quickly his bag filled while hers remained small. She said she wanted to be able to pick cotton like her daddy more than anything in the world. Although I was born an only child, what I learned about family, I learned from my mama. One of my favorite stories she would tell was when the family lived in a duplex. The family next door were, according to Mama, a bit on the stuck-up side. To try and make the family jealous, Mama and her sisters and brother would sit as close to the shared wall as possible with their mason jars filled with tea. Then they would stir their tea as loudly as they could to make the neighbors think Mama's family was well off enough to have sugar to stir in their tea. Family was important to Mama and the rest of the Barons. When World War II broke out, Mama's only brother Melvin enlisted in the armed services. Sadly, he did not return. He received a Purple Heart for his bravery, but that certainly couldn't replace the brother and son they loved. I can't imagine the loss they must have felt, but their family bonds were strong and pulled them through this horrible tragedy. Mama learned that church was a place where she needed to be. For whatever reason, neither of her parents attended church, even though her maternal grandfather was a Church of the Nazarene preacher. Then again, maybe that could have had some bearing on why Granny Bear would not attend church. Who knows? When Mama was 12, she and her sisters began attending the First Presbyterian Church in Snyder, Texas. To this day, when someone asks me which church I attend, I still say Presbyterian, even though my husband's son and I are now Catholic. Learning the Apostles' Creed and the Lord's Prayer were only part of what my mama taught me about church. She also taught me how to serve others, whether it's by teaching Sunday school, which Mama did for years, or by delivering meals to shut-ins. Church was never an option. It was a given. Although my dad chose not to attend, Mama and I went every Sunday. Something else Mama taught me was how to cook. Because her mother had chosen to teach only one of the girls to cook, Mama learned on her own. No one could top Mama's mashed potatoes. I tried when I married, and when I asked Mama how she got hers to taste so good, she replied, "How many sticks of butter did you put in 'em?" I nearly fell over. My mom was so health conscious, but when it came to mashed potatoes, she didn't scrimp on the butter. I still can't make them taste like hers, but I probably don't need to. Mama taught me to love children. She married straight out of high school, and the marriage ended after a year. Mama waited for about 7 years to even think about marriage again. She and my dad married on September 9th, 1960, when she was 31 and he was 32. I was born in November of 1962. Because of her love of children, Mama wanted more, but she was never able to have another child. It really hurt her so much. She made up for it by loving every friend I brought home like they were her own. When I had my first child, Alana, Mama became entrenched in being the best Grandma Bobby she could possibly be. When Alana was 4.5 years old, my ex-husband and I adopted Wes, also 4.5, a foster child with a myriad of problems that continue to affect him today. Mama accepted him as hers easily and quickly. One Friday night was Alana's and one was Wes's. They looked forward all week to those times with their Grandma Bobby. After a divorce and a second marriage, 16 years after Alana was born, Jess came into the world. Although Mama wasn't strong enough to keep Jess like she did Alana and Wes, she embraced him with open arms. She was especially happy that I named Jess after her father, Jess Adrian. It goes without saying that now that I've experienced being a mother and now a grandmother, many of the things I do reflect my mama's beliefs about the world. I know it's important to revel in the sight of a monarch perched on a Mexican sunflower, or to gasp in delight when a painted bunny visits my home. Because of my mama, I know how important family is. Another thing I learned from my mama is how to be a grandma. I'm Grandma Honey to my sweet Branna. These are the experiences that my children and grandchildren will remember, just as Mama's only child and her 3 grandchildren remember about her. Probably the most important thing I learned, though, from my mama is that no matter what test this life throws at me, I can always survive. Mama had breast cancer at the young age of 27. With a radical mastectomy and loss of muscle in her left arm, she continued on, loving life and appreciating all that she had. When trials come up in my life, I look to Mama as my beacon of hope. If she can do it, so can I.